Great, yeah. So when you came to visit our Cornell class, you presented some pretty staggering statistics that I thought really nicely illustrated how big of a problem world hunger is. So you mentioned that in the next 24 hours, 10,000 preschool children will die due to hunger and malnutrition. And that life expectancy in some countries, developing countries, is 36, while in the US it's 77 or 78. And all of this is happening against the background in the US where there's over 1 billion people who are overweight or obese, where we think of that as a disease of affluence. So it seems as though we have this global food picture where there are countries like the US that have a lot of money, where people are having these diseases, diet-related disease of affluence, and then developing countries where the life expectancy is almost halved, or more than halved, as a result of not having adequate access to food. And so you think, well, people should be looking at these numbers. It seems like it couldn't be that hard of a problem to solve. So one of the things that you mentioned in one of your papers is that there was a study which showed that even a small contribution from, let's say, every citizen in the US could reduce that number significantly. And it kind of raises this question, like, how is it that a very small donation by all of us, let's say in the United States, could eradicate this problem, and we still haven't really pulled it together and done it?
Well, first I think we need to be very clear that the Americans, the individual Americans, are contributing greatly with their own money to try to solve problems, whether they are acute problems or long-term problems. So it's not as though we sit back doing absolutely nothing, but the problem is so huge that we need governments to do what they are supposed to be doing, and it isn't good enough that we make an additional contribution, which we definitely should do. But I want to make clear that I'm not here to tell you that the rich people don't contribute. They actually do. They could contribute more, but unless the government get their act together. There are basically two problems. If I tell you that 800 million people don't get enough to eat, your eyes glaze over, because neither you nor I can kind of get a handle on what 800 million people look like. Yeah. If you come with me to West Africa and you see kids that are dying, that has an impact. Yeah. We have to bring it down to the level that we can understand as human beings. And these big statistics, whether it's 10,000 kids that die from hunger, or it's 800 million people that don't get enough to eat, or it's 1.5 billion people who are overweight and obese, we can't get a handle on these numbers. So what we need to do is to bring it down to a level where we understand it. What if it were your child that were about to die from lack of food, or lack of clean drinking water, or lack of good sanitation? That you understand. Yeah. Let's take that one step further and say it's somebody else's child. That's a huge ethical issue that we can only deal with if we also deal with the institutional and the economic and the policy issues that make this come about in the first place. Yeah. It is not God-given, or it's not a natural thing that so many people have to die while other people become obese and spend money on things that some of us think would be ridiculous. It's not nature-given. This is created by the existing institutions and the policies, and we all contribute to maintaining those.